Hello YouTube and welcome back to my Let's Play Kerbal Space Program series. This is episode 31. And I thought I would just show this video. If you haven't watched the last episode, you might want to go back and at least watch the first few minutes because I'll talk about my progress and what I'm going to be doing for the next few videos. My funds are pretty low. We only have 486,000 credits. And so I've got to do some contracts to get my money back up. I don't really have any good ones right now. Everything seems to be related to, going to another planet or doing something expensive. But I do have, I have these two, which are pretty good money for passive income. I've already had this Sentinel probe in orbit around the sun, and it is working on finding these objects right now. And when it finishes, we'll get a pretty good chunk of money for that, as well as we'll get a little bit for finding a couple of comets. I have another satellite repair contract. Probably not going to show that one on camera, and it doesn't pay out a whole lot. But I did get this one to plant a flag on the moon. We've already done this, but I do need the money, so I'm going to go ahead and do that mission. So I just thought I would show it on camera. It's always fun landing on the moon. There's always a potential for me to screw it up, so I thought I would show it. I already have a moon lander. I gotta clean this list up. I've modified this a little bit. The original lander had some science on it, but we don't need any science. We just need to land on the moon, plant the flag, and then get back home. So I've really chopped this thing down to a pretty economic rocket. We just have some basic solar panels and some of the cheap batteries on here. Only one pilot, and it's only costing me $26,674. So this will be a cheap little to the moon and back rocket, and it'll be a way for us to make a little bit of money. So we're gonna get this thing into orbit here, and once I've got it into orbit around Kerbal, I will meet you in space. Okay, here we are in space. It wasn't the best launch. I ended up coming up a little too shallow. Spent a little too much time in the atmosphere. Lost a couple of wings in the process, and I'm sitting on a 231 apoapsis. But we got up into space. My inclination is wrong, so I've already made a maneuver here. I'm going to warp to that. Get this inclination back to 0, and then we will head on out to the moon. So yeah, when I was coming up through the atmosphere on my launch, I got too far over. I was sitting at about 20 degrees when I was still under probably 20,000. My altitude was under 20,000. And that was just a bit too steep. That's not going to let me get to 0 from here. Oh well, 0.1 will be very close. Alright, I'm going to live with that. Anyway, alright, let's see. I can probably set a maneuver about here. Okay, that gave me an encounter. Let's see how close we are here. Alright. Can I adjust the day, launch day, to get closer? Yeah, I think I can live with that there. And the inclination isn't terrible either. So, alright, let's go with that. We'll be up about 28,000. Oh, I guess I have to maneuver to the node there first and do the burn. Yeah, I know we've already done a mission like this, but anytime I can practice landing on another surface somewhere else, it's good practice. And we're getting paid to do it, so that's a plus. I couldn't believe I had such low funds. I thought I was still over $1 million in the last episode, but went back when I was editing the video and I saw that when we started out we were just a couple $100,000, or maybe it's like a less than 200,000. So all those attempts at getting a station around Moho really took its toll on my budget. But we got the money before, and we will just have to get it again. Okay, so this whole burn should be off of the tank, the main tank here. Shouldn't need to separate any. Let's just see if we can get it as close to that 28. That's pretty good. 27.5. Alright. We can warp on in. And there's the moon. And let us set our orbit. That'll be pretty circular. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll get it close. And then we need to figure out where we want to land. So I have a couple of landing spots already, so we want to be somewhere new. May try just right out here. We'll have to see where the daylight ends up being. Which side is the daylight side? Now apparently there is a Kerbal that needs to be rescued around the moon, as well as their ship. I saw a contract for that, but trying to recover the vessel might be tricky. So I had a mission or contract to, in the last episode, to recover some part from around the orbit of Kerbal, and I wasn't sure how to do that. So off camera I attempted the mission, And what I did, I sent a probe up, so I was able to target the unknown object. So since I could target it, I was able to rendezvous with a probe to see what I was dealing with. And it ended up being just a tank section, kind of like this one, but it's one of the big ones. And what I did was I built another probe that had one of the grabbers on it, and I put a heat shield. I had the largest heat shield that I could with the grabbing unit, and I rendezvoused with this thing and I grabbed it, but I forgot to put solar panels on my ship, or on my probe, so I was having to be really conservative with my battery usage. And as I came through the atmosphere, I was coming back in for my re-entry, and I deployed one parachute manually. I thought I was, I right-clicked on it, I thought I was deploying all of them, but it only deployed one parachute, and my battery ran out completely, and I was not able to deploy the other three by the time I realized what was going on. So I ended up hitting the surface at something like 13 meters per second, and the probe survived, but the tank, the part that I was supposed to go up and get, that part did not survive the impact. So that was very disappointing. It would have been a success if I had put a solar panel on there, because all I needed was some electric charge to be able to, for the probe. So apparently the probe has to have an electric charge if it's going to deploy the parachutes. And I did not have any electric charge, so I could not deploy my chutes. And that was that. So, but anyway, yeah, I wanted to mention that because I know I grabbed that contract in the last episode, but I should have recorded it, but I didn't. At least, even in failing, I still would have been able to see how to do those types of contracts. But anyway, let's see. We're here at the moon. I would like to use some of this fuel that we have here to deorbit. Well, certainly want to deorbit, but then I would like to use it some to slow ourselves down even. We need to decide where we want to land. So like I say, we have flags here and here, so we want to land, if we can, somewhere on this side. So why don't let's go ahead and warp to here. I'd really like to land in this crater. Why don't we try for that? Let's just land in this big crater here. So I'll let this move on around to retrograde, and I'll deorbit, and I'll just burn this down to somewhere. I want to still have pretty good altitude when I hit here, because this Terrier engine I've had in the past where it wasn't. It took a long time to slow down, and I ended up crashing before I could slow down enough to land. So we're on our marker here. Let's turn this thrust back up. And let's just start to deorbit. Alright, I'm going to go with that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get to about right here. I need to put this on. Yeah. And I just want to use some of this fuel. We have 590. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use all of it. So I'm coming up on the crater. Well, what's my current altitude? I'm at 20,000. I think this is the rim of the crater here. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. This is very bumpy. Ooh. We may have a hard time landing in here. Alright, well, let's see what we can do. Use this main engine to burn off a good bit of this speed. Alright, now what I want to do is point down and separate. That slowed us down a pretty good bit, and I still have pretty good altitude. And I'm going to decouple, go back to my retrograde here. I need to activate this engine. Put our landing gear out. And I don't want to go just yet. So remember, we're pushing our retrograde marker to the top of the nav ball. When it gets to the top of the nav ball and we line up on retrograde, that's where we will land. So I'd like to get into here. So I'm going to let this move on down a little bit. And I'm going to stop it there. Now actually, give this a little bit more. That's about as close to perfect as I can get. Now I can't really tell if I'm going to be landing on the side of a hill here or what. I better start burning off some of this speed though. I think we'll be good. Oh, something just crashed. I guess it's our booster section. Getting a little screen tearing here. Looks like we might have a rock here that we could oh no, that's not a rock. We still have about 1850 on Delta V. Alright, touchdown. Bit of a slope, but I think we'll be alright. And I don't know if we can get a crew report from, yeah, this is a new spot here, so we'll grab that crew report. And we will at least be able to get an EVA report. So we'll be able to get a little bit of science. He should be able to do a surface sample. Yep. And we do want to plant a flag. For our mission. Jib again. It's very original. But we can do the screenshot. What is the deal with the... What, did we just go into the shadow? I guess it must be sunset here. I guess, well, no. Now it's daylight again. I don't understand. Okay, good job, Jib. Now, do I want to try to go get one of these rocks? So there's one close, I think. Nothing's close on the moon, though. Not at these speeds. I'll definitely watch the monopropellant, because I don't want to be moon hopping all the way back. I've had to do that before. I've gone out too far and ran out of monopropellant and had to walk all the way back. And it is not fun. Looks like we got something here. Maybe that's a rock that we can get a sample of. But I think I've done a rock sample before. I don't know if I can get another one on a different trip from a different area. Not sure how this works. So I guess we're about to find out. Pick up moonstone. Well, no new science from it. Oh well, I guess you can only get it one time. Well, we'll grab it anyway. Alright, let's head back. If I can get in without touching the ground. I've definitely gotten better with my spacewalking. I used to really struggle with that. So, okay, well, we've accomplished our mission, I guess. Planted a flag on the moon. So now we have to get out of here and get back home. So for that, I'm going to get to going. See, I want my 90 facing this way. Bring up the gears. Alright. We'll get this APO up to about, I guess, 15 kilometers. Circularize and get back home. So that wasn't a terrible landing spot back there. It wasn't nearly as rough as I thought it was going to be. Alright, let's add a maneuver. Get that parry on up to about 15 or so. Okay. At least it's letting me time warp. Depending on how close you are to the surface, it may or may not let you sometimes. Alright, so this is going to take another 128. We should still have plenty of delta V to get to back to Kerbal. Alright, 16 by 17, that should work. I think probably don't have time to get it now. That's 40 seconds away, so we'll just get behind. We'll catch it on the next pass here. Add a maneuver. Bring that periapsis down about 30, 29 or 30. Perfect. Alright, let's get on that maneuver. And warp over to it. We'll take a lap around the moon here. Hope there's not a 17-kilometer high mountain somewhere. All right. So that was a pretty uneventful moon landing. We'll say goodbye to the moon. And head home. Perfect. Alright, let's get back to the planet. There's home. And I really don't even have to just point this radially out, so when I separate, that'll sling it into the atmosphere. Alright, we can go ahead and separate this. Go to our retrograde. And ready for our ride through the atmosphere. I don't know what's heating up here. Really don't like time warping through these burns like this, but if you don't, it's kind of a long process. Well, this would be a water landing. And there we are. Got a little bit of science, 137 earned. Wow, I'm surprised it was that much. I didn't realize. I didn't get anything for the moonstone. It was really the surface sample in that new site is what did it, where we got the most. So that was a successful mission, planted a flag on the moon. I wanted to show the one that failed. I've failed a few actually, but this was it. Recover component. So that's the one that the part crashed when I landed too hard, crashed, it destroyed the part. But these missions aren't that difficult really, so I may look at doing another one. I'm not sure. I think there's one. Well, this is from Moho though. I'm not gonna go there. We got some fairy people around the moon in Minmus. We got one land on the moon, one land on Minmus. This will be a pretty nice payout here, so I'll probably go ahead and do this one off camera. Here's one here. I may recover unit TJQH-4 from orbit of Kerbal. So if I do this one, I'll go ahead and grab this one. If I do it, I'll record it so I can show that process. Science data from the surface of Minmus. We have to ferry somebody to the surface of Minmus, so I'll go ahead and grab that. Yeah, and all these others, this is Moho, Ike, Duna, Moho, Minmus. This is building a new orbital station around Minmus, and I would do this one. I think this one wanted like, oh, this is only 5 Kerbals. I don't know. I might look at doing this one. It's going to be expensive, and it's not a great payout for the money I might have to spend on building the station. But anyway, I've got a few here I'll work on. Still working on these passive Sentinel contracts. I'm going to have to ferry these tourists around. One of them wants to land on Minmus. Here, land on Minmus. So when I do that, I can grab some data from the surface. So yeah, I'll do this repair off camera, and I'll probably record this one. And so that will probably be the next episode will be me doing this mission here. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. If you look in the top right of your screen, you should see a link to the playlist if you want to go back and watch from the beginning. And over to the top right, there should be a subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.